Hey there, I'm John, and welcome to Hand Tool Homeschool, where we are bringing homeschool dads and kids together one woodworking project at a time. And today I want to talk to you about sharpening systems. So, last week in my post, I mentioned that I would do something on sharpening today to help take away the confusion for you. And I hope I can do just that. So, let's start out. First of all, what do you need to sharpen? Well, when it comes to hand tools, there's a lot of things you need to sharpen. And in this case, we're going to be talking about things like your plane iron. So that would be coming out of this, and that's going to give you your nice clean shavings. So plane iron's one. Something else we would sharpen would be a chisel. There's lots of different tools, but those are the main things I sharpen, is my plane irons and my chisels, all the time, constantly. And for beginners, this is another topic that can be confusing. So when I started, again, if you hop out on the internet like I did, you're going to find out a lot of opinions, and everyone seems to be right on their opinion on what to use. And you know what? That's a good thing, because that means that person has found something that works for them, but it might not necessarily work for you. You might need a better solution. And what I did was I researched several folks, watched what they were doing, and I decided that I wanted something as simple as possible that looked like it would work and get the results I needed. So there are a lot of different ways you can go about this. And it's also going to depend too, maybe on your budget at this time, if there's a certain amount of dollars you want to spend. So let me show you what I went ahead and worked with. These are diamond plates. And what I have here is a coarse plate, a fine plate, and an extra fine plate. And that's how I started off. And where I learned this was from a woodworker named Paul Sellers. He's pretty famous right now on the internet, so you can check him out. He's got a lot of great stuff out there. But that's where I learned how to sharpen. I decided to go with this system because it's very simple. A lot of folks may choose to go with water stones, sandpaper. There's all different kinds of stones that you can buy. But the plates, I would say you're looking at, if I remember right, I spent about $100 after shipping and everything. And I scoured for the best deal. I'll throw that link in the description so you can see where I got them. Let me see here. I think it's called, well, I've got the receipt here, but it says Sharpening Supplies. I don't know, it might be sharpeningsupplies.com. That's okay. I'll throw it in the link or in the description so you know where to go. But along with those stones, I bought this green honing compound. It came in this yellow box. I bought that from Lee Valley, and it's not very costly. And this will last forever. I've been using it for quite some time, and I haven't even used a quarter of it. So that's used for polishing your final edge when you're done with the actual sharpening. And you do that by applying it to a piece of leather. So you rub that buffing compound on the leather, and it coats that with the compound, and you just buff your bevels, your edges on your tools. And this is simply a small piece of wood, about 2.5 inches wide by maybe 8 inches long, 10 inches long. And it's just a piece of leather that I used. I put it together with contact cement. So once you apply it, you put it in a vise, put the compound on, and you're good to go. And that's called a strop, if I didn't already say that. So that's the system I have. 3 plates, a strop, and some compound. And let me just show you, I recently sharpened my plane blade, and it should do something like this. You should be able to just slice right through paper on an unsupported paper. I'm not holding it from both sides. I'm holding it from one side and just going right through it. If you're sharp like that, you're going to be able to work wood. So I also want to mention that it took me a little while to get this method down. It wasn't something that just came overnight. I had to put a bit of practice into it. And you know, I'll do another video later on about how to sharpen and actually demonstrate that for you. For now, there's several folks out there. Again, I mentioned Paul Sellers earlier. I'll probably link to his video at the very end of this video. There'll be a link you can click on and go check that out, because he really explains really thorough about how to use this sharpening system. So let me see. Let me look at my notes. I try to remember everything, so sometimes I forget. One thing that's really important, and I've heard another woodworker say this recently, and I agree wholeheartedly, is that just pick a system and go with it. And stick with it if you can for a year. Because what I notice is that people bounce around always trying to find out the best way to sharpen. And you really can't learn a way really, really well until you do it for quite some time. So my advice, along with some others, I can't remember who said it, is pick something and stay with it for a year as far as the way you sharpen. Now, the stones, the plates, the sandpaper, that's up to you. But I will mention that sandpaper is a cheap alternative to start with. The only problem is that it doesn't stay cheap. You go through sandpaper pretty quick, it tears a lot, and you have to keep buying it all the time. So eventually it's going to catch up with you. But to start out, hey, it's a great way to kind of get your feet wet, get a taste for it, see what it's going to be like. And that is personally where I would start if I were you, probably trying sandpaper. And just you're going to sharpen the same way as you do with the diamond plates, but it'll just give you a chance to see if you're, first of all, if you like it and you want to continue to work with hand tools. I'm not really about investing a lot of money up front until you know you really, really like it and want to stick with it. But once you know, I would definitely suggest buying some kind of stone or plates and going with that. In this case, I love the diamond plates. It's very quick. Once I'm sharpened, I have this iron sharpened. It was pretty sharp before I gave it a quick sharpen today, but I had this thing done in 2 minutes or less, and it was back to just razor sharp. So I really, really like this system. So now that I've talked about that, let me see. What else did I want to talk about? Again, start with what you can afford and just pick a system and learn it. And I think it's as simple as that. Learn it really well. Something else I did want to mention. When I was starting out learning this, there was a bit of frustration at times, but not too much. A lot of times I just, put a little music on in the background and I just started trying to figure things out. There's different ways that you're gonna feel with your fingers when you're sharpening. You might put pressure on one side or the other. You might hold it at a different angle. Eventually that'll come to you and you will get it. I'm really quick and good at sharpening the plane irons now. Chisels, for some reason, I'm pretty good and I can definitely do it. And it doesn't take me very long. But sometimes, depending on the width of the chisel, for some reason it gives me a little bit of trouble. So if it's narrower, maybe a little more trouble than when it's wider. I'm not sure why, it's just the way you hold it. So hey, I'm not there yet. I haven't arrived, but I have arrived at pretty much at the plane irons and I'm getting better every day. So, just know that you put the time in, you stick with one way, and I think it'll work out for you. So let's see. Let's go back to the things that you need. Let's just wrap this up real quick. You're going to need your actual sharpening stones or plates. You're going to need a strop and some buffing compound. And one other thing I didn't mention earlier is if you go with the diamond stones, you'll need something like this auto glass cleaner, and it just keeps the stones wet and it carries away some of the abrasion. When you abrade the metal, you get bits of metal, and it just helps carry that away and keep your plates clean while you're using them. So really that's really all you need. I think that's what I got this week. I'll do a more thorough video on how I sharpen, take you up close to that, and we'll go from there. But I hope I've taken some of the confusion out here. It doesn't need to be a mystery. It's just pick a system and go with it. So that's what I have for sharpening. And if you have found this video helpful, I'd appreciate it if you'd share it. And also, I'd love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, you can go over to www.handtoolhomeschool.com. Check out my site there. You can download the Essential Tools Guide for free, and that'll get you set up on what you need to get started. So I appreciate you being here today. Thanks so much for watching. Always remember life's most important order. love God, love each other, and woodwork. Until next time, see you then.